What's up, everyone? Welcome to another post-events review for this weekend. To be honest, there wasn't too much that happened this weekend. So the only notable ones I'm going to be covering today are, what was it? Aaron Mckenna versus Etinosa Oliha and Troy Williamson. Troy Williamson versus Callum Simpson 2. And I'll start with Aaron Mckenna versus Etinosa Oliha. This fight was for the IBF World Middleweight Championship, which was vacated by Yanibek Alimhanuli. This was for Zuffa 10 main event. And I think Aaron Mckenna looked okay. Not the best he ever looked, but I think he moved pretty well. I studied both fighters before the fight, and what I noticed about Etinosa Oliha was when he fought for, I think, the international title, his defense looks pretty good in the early rounds, but what he lacks is a bit of offensive power and presence. Because in that international title fight, he didn't really do much offensively. It was his defense that made him win. And with his defense, it's not really as guard as his upper body movement that's good. But that's the only fight I watched from, Oliha. Whereas for Mckenna, I watched two of his fights. One against Liam Smith and the other one against Williamson. Against Liam Smith, I don't think that's a good representation. Not because of Aaron Mckenna, but because of Liam Smith. In that fight, Liam Smith didn't really do anything except just move forward and throw a couple of shots at a time. And because he was just moving forward, not really educatedly, I don't know if that's a word, Aaron Mckenna was just able to jab his face, jab the body, and then just pivot out with his footwork, pivot around Liam Smith. And due to Liam Smith just going forward with a high guard, Mckenna was able to drop Liam Smith with a good body shot in the 12th. Yeah, but I think a better representation of Aaron Mckenna was against Williamson. Because in that fight, Williamson had pretty good movement, I would say, in the first few rounds, and actually came forward and threw with Mckenna. And from the first round, I could tell Aaron Mckenna struggles with the southpaw left straight a little bit. And I think Mckenna does struggle a bit more with someone that comes forward and actually throws educated straight shots. But Aaron Mckenna definitely has good footwork for middleweight. And so when I was predicting this fight in my head, I knew there was not going to be a knockout. But I did pick Aaron Mckenna, and thank God my bet came through. So let's go. But this fight officially makes Aaron Mckenna the middleweight champion of the world. If you look at the middleweight landscape, there's Denzel Bentley as a WBO. He was recently elevated due to Aaron Mckenna being stripped again. Carlos Adames has the WBC, and Erislan De Lara has the WBA. I don't know about a fight with Carlos Adames because I don't know what Carlos Adames is going to be doing. I'm pretty sure Carlos Adames has thoughts of going to super middle after his win over Amma Williams. Erislan De Lara, that's a possible fight. Lara is not old, but I think he's still decent enough. But I don't think he would win against an Aaron Mckenna. That could be a decent fight for a unification. And then there's Denzel Bentley. To be honest, I haven't watched Denzel Bentley much, so I'll need to watch a bit of him to make a judgment. But I think there's some good fights in the middleweight. Middleweight's gotten better than it's been like 2 years ago. Because now there's some actual names. Decent, maybe not names, but there's decent talent now. There's Mckenna, Bentley. I don't know if Bentley's a good talent. I need to watch that. Alimhanuli, if he's off the drugs. Adames, Lara. There's Yoenli Hernandez. There's probably more names that I'm just forgetting right now. But that's really it for that fight. And then the last fight I want to talk about is Callum Simpson versus Troy Williamson, or the other way around, the rematch. The first fight, Callum Simpson, I'm pretty sure he looked good in the first few rounds, but then his cardio kind of failed him, and then Troy Williamson landed a great shot in the 10th round, I think, that started Simpson's drastic decline in that round, which led to Callum Simpson getting stopped in that round after 4-5 drops. And then this rematch, I think Callum Simpson did a lot better to control his pace, and ultimately he kind of just outboxed Williamson to get the win. So if you were to look at Callum Simpson's rankings, this was a super middleweight fight in my memory. If I was to get the super middleweight rankings up, Callum Simpson is currently not ranked in the top 15 for WBO or the WL or the IBF. He's ranked in number 14 in the WBC, and he's not ranked in the WBA. So I guess Callum Simpson is just best off going the WBC route. Is him versus Berlanga a decent fight? Troy Williamson is still above Callum Simpson in the WBC. I don't know how that works, but hopefully that updates by the end of the month. But Callum Simpson versus Edgar Berlanga, maybe? Or Simpson versus Armando Resendiz, to fight a former champion. That could be a decent fight. That's kind of it for the weekend. This is going to be a really short video. I'm just checking what else is up for next week. Next week. This Wednesday, there's Tara Moana fighting against, I don't know, Savage. And then on the Saturday, there's Clarissa Shields against Scott. I don't know if I'll be watching that one. If I have time, I will. But if not, I won't bother. But I'll try and watch it for you guys. But this will be the end of this video. There's not really much going on next week, so hopefully I'll still see you next week. Goodbye, everyone. Bye-bye.